Welcome to Life by Design. I'm your host, Robyne, and I am thrilled to welcome you to this space for real conversations about how we live, how we show up day in and day out, because the quality of our life is shaped by our habits. What we do in ordinary time allows us to be extraordinary. We can unpack what it takes to truly live well and be well in real life. Welcome to Life by Design. And I'm just so excited that you're here. Today, I had the opportunity to talk with Mo Bunnell. Now, he is the author of several books. My personal favorite is The Give to Grow. On this episode, we explore all things around this idea between sales versus service, and also how we can position ourselves to be able to be useful, to be able to have impact. Mo gives us very practical language, even like sentence by sentence, what to say, what not to say when we are navigating this world of entrepreneurship and also, more importantly, the power of relationships. I hope you find this episode as useful and informative as I did. So without further ado, please tune into this episode with Mo. I'm thrilled to introduce my guest today, Mo. This is someone who, when I first read his book, and it was Jay Papasan from The One Thing who said, check out this book, Robyne. It was one of the books that I picked up and read it in one solid go. I did not put it down. I read it cover to cover. And then I thought, wow, those are refreshing ideas about the idea of service, about leadership, about service, how we show up. So Mo, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here today.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be fun when you think about servicing and being helpful to others. Resiliency is a big part of that. So I think we're
Yeah.
gonna blend our content in a way that's gonna be really cool today. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Oh, well, thank you so very much. And so for Mo, for folks who haven't heard of your work yet or want to get a deeper idea of the work you do, could you tell us just a wee bit about the good work that you're doing these days and what you're up to?
Yeah, and we'll land the plane in a way that'll be helpful for your audience too. So the quick
Yeah.
version is we've trained about 60,000 high-end professionals all over the world on developing business. So building a business, but done through in a way where the relationship is paramount.
Mm.
So I think it's an interesting thing. Like there's lots of sales books out there. That's not
Yes.
really our bag. That sales book sort of implies I'm going to get in front of the person and send proposal and win
Yeah.
work, almost like in this caveman approach, like the relationship doesn't matter. We're teaching how to build business, but in a way where you're always serving the other person, they're always winning, but not in a way you're just running through a field with flowers, but that you're actually doing so in a way that can help you as well. And having that relationship forward approach that where everybody wins, including yourself, that's a pretty novel concept. And that's what we'll talk about today.
Yeah, Mo, and it was so refreshing when I first came upon that because again, as somebody who came into entrepreneurship, so to speak, from a different route, coming in as an academic, I never perceived myself as a salesperson. And again, I think there's
Mhm.
even just a wee bit of stigma around that idea about like, oh, I'm in sales. And I love that this concept, which again, it came through in the reading that I was doing on your work, whereas it's like when you are offering a service, when you're building relationships, it doesn't feel icky because you believe so wholeheartedly in what you're doing. You want to elevate other people. You want to create these containers of excellence where people are able to grow, to prosper. And it was almost like this idea. I remember the first time when I read Give to Grow. I had a moment, it was like, oh my gosh, I would be doing these people a disservice if I didn't share and put some of these resources out in front of them and invite them into the conversation. Like you completely flipped my idea of sales by introducing that component of like the win-win-win and how strong that relationship piece is.
Yeah, exactly. And today we can even get into some real practical takeaways on how to do it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we can just sort of a headline that we can hang all these principles off of and really easy steps that we can break it down for your audience is just the simple phrase people hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. People
Oh, I
hate to be
like
sold to, but they love to buy. And if we just think of that, then we can just flush all the ideas of I'm going to be pushy on them or I'm going
that.
to talk about my services in a way like we all just feel icky about that.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to sell to people. I don't want to
Yeah.
be sold to. But on the other hand, people love to buy. I mean, we literally use the words retail therapy. When we're buying something, we're either eliminating something negative from our life or we're
Yeah.
enhancing the chance that we're going to get something positive. And
Yeah.
when we view our growing a business or growing our positive influence on the world, if we
Yeah.
broaden it a little bit, if we just think of it as we're helping somebody else accomplish something they want, and we're
Yes.
going to orchestrate a great buy-in process,
Yeah.
then that just unlocks all the goodness that we teach.
Yeah. And again, it's such a refreshing approach when you think about the fact that, we don't have to be out of our alignment and our values, right? Like if we're
Yeah.
somebody who wants to help, if we're somebody that wants to, again, show up to be of service, we can do it. And it's okay for us to do it in a way that we also prosper, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I think is just so valuable in terms of this idea of that it's okay that we are successful. It is okay that we are able to provide our own lifestyles and livelihoods, especially when we know that we're also helping other people achieve unlocks. Or as you said, they might be buying back their time, which means then they can do something different, or again, however we structure it. So
Yeah.
again, I just want to say hold space to say thank you for introducing a place and a space and a framework for persons like me who are like, I don't know how to do this, but Mo's way, like that feels right. That feels
Yeah.
really, really good. Now, if I could ask you this question, this is the big burning question that I had for you, Mo, is in your book, Give to Grow. Okay. So this idea that we are showing up, we are making things available and accessible. What I'm seeing right now is the world very much is in this place of scarcity. That there's a
Hmm.
scarcity mindset. There's not enough to go around. There's not enough customers, not enough clients, enough resources. Just name the not enough of. And it could even be not enough sleep, not enough, not enough access to X, whatever that is. And you are introducing an approach that is essentially like almost an like opposite of what we're saying is that we're operating from a place of such sufficiency and confidence in what we have and how we can be of service that it's okay to give it away to get the ball rolling, to introduce this relationship, to start. And this isn't just the foot in the door technique that we would see back in old business books, but I mean, like, you're really like, no, this is how we do it. When the world feels so scarce, you're bringing this opposite action and the results are remarkable. Like the results are just so remarkable. So could you tell me just a wee bit about that idea of if you choose to about like, yeah, we're in this place of scarcity and meeting it with sufficiency and even abundance that we're
Yeah.
sharing and we're giving, it's a radical approach and it
Yeah.
works. Wow.
Well, let's do it. I love digging into the how, Robin. It's so fun. So one of the things that I think we can start with like a metric and then we can talk about the research.
Yes.
So the metric, when we were in the middle of writing Give to Grow, one of the things that my publisher asked me is like, hey, what's the difference between the really high performers and average performers? And I had never seen data on this. So I just texted, emailed, worked it
Mhm.
into conversation with 2 or 3 dozen different clients that would know the difference between the top performer in their firm from like how much business they brought
Yeah.
in versus the average person. And by far, the most common answer I got back was we looked at the numbers, Mo. It's an interesting question. I actually didn't know myself. And they would say 10x. We
Mm,
had one firm where the difference was like 25 or 30x. I think the lowest was 8.
wow.
So, and then there was some further, the best research I could find in non-origination or non-business development roles was by McKinsey, and they found a 10x, almost
Yeah.
exactly 10x for like, if you look at the best HR professionals or IT professionals, finance. So it does appear that in the normal world, that the difference between average, not low, but
Yeah.
average and high performance when it comes to influence, positive influence, if we
Mhm.
call it that, is about 10 times. So not
Yeah.
10%, 10 times. So
10
that's the metric.
times.
The research, I know you love research given your background. I just love Adam Grant's research on
Yes.
that he popularized around givers. And that
Yes.
gets to our point here. And what he found is that when he stratified givers, takers, and matchers,
Yeah.
givers were people who give with no strings attached,
Yes.
always helping others, no expectation of anything in return. That's the key definition.
Yes.
Takers the opposite. They're trying to get people to do work there for them. That scarcity mindset you talked
Yeah.
about. And matchers are this in between where it's like every conversation is, I'll do this for you if you do
Yes,
that for
that
me.
exchange. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can all like think of people we know right now. Oh yeah, he's a taker. She's a, and the givers generally win, but not all do. And what he found is some of the givers were actually had the lowest performers, and some of the givers had the highest. So in follow-up studies, they dug into what gives with givers.
Yeah.
What's the difference between these absolutely lowest of the three archetypes and absolutely highest? And what he found was two big differences. What I like to call the folks at the top, the most successful in the world, strategic givers, two things were different. One, they knew how to say no or yes.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
anything that crossed their plate, they had the ability to actually say no if they didn't think it was worth their time. So there's a little bit of self mode, like I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to give to anybody or most, but I'm going to think about my own self interest a little bit here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the ability to say no and say yes. And then secondly, if a yes, to then scale the size of the give to be aligned with what they thought the outcome might be.
Mm.
Again, no strings attached, but if your boss's boss asks you for a half an hour,
Yeah.
well, maybe you give them half a day on
Yes.
some special project.
Yeah.
Somebody from your alma mater calls up and says, "Can I take you golfing? I'd love to pick your brain about your career path." That's a 5 hour commitment. Maybe I'm going to throttle that. I'm going to say yes, but maybe I'll throttle that down to a 15-minute Zoom call.
Yeah.
And that ability to say yes or no, and if a yes, I'm just gonna size my give to the expected outcome,
Yes.
no strings attached. But if I do that over and over, then really good things open up for
Yeah.
us when we do that. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I absolutely love that like that distinction of recognizing that it's giving, but it isn't literally like martyrdom. Like we're not
Right.
literally like bleeding out when anybody
Yeah.
wants something to the point where we have nothing left to give anybody. So that notion about strategic giving and also just that idea there's a deep sense of trust within that
Yeah.
practice that you are trusting the process, that you are trusting human nature, you are trusting relationships, you are trusting the power of community, and that it's this idea that there's a little bit of surrendering, which I love to think about it in that way
Yeah.
because we don't have to control, nor do we want to try to control every aspect of that interaction and that relationship. Like
Yep.
that is a place that you're operating from a place of being really grounded, really
Yeah.
stable, really secure, feeling really well resourced to be able to do that. I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I do appreciate that notion of the persons at the top. They're doing it strategically. And again, they're not doing it strategically in terms of, that what can I get out of this, as you've clearly articulated. They're doing it in the sense of this is serving the work. This is serving the purpose. This allows me to be, again, more positioned or better positioned to be able to do more of X. And
Yeah.
also that notion that the givers, essentially at that underperforming place, likely are in that place because of that lack of the boundaries. And it's not
Yeah.
just boundaries as in, and I get a wee bit cheese when people talk about boundaries as don't answer your phone in the weekends. It's like, no, those boundaries aren't going to make a huge difference. The boundary is saying yes to things that are draining and, as you said, that are out of proportion to the work and the goal, and therefore you have nothing left over for
Yeah.
other practices and other relationships, including relationship with our family systems and even ourself. Not
Yeah.
even having that. So I really, really, I love that. Another idea we often talk about, I think that would braid so lovely into that is, the folks at the top are collaborators and they're connectors, they're amplifiers, and the folks kind of in that underperforming place, I tend to see are very competitive. That it's kind of very much, what's in it for me. There's a lot of strings attached, and just again, that sense of confidence that comes with operating with the collaborators, operating in that place where they also are trusting the process and believing in the good. We're not operating from a place of mistrust or in terms of value of that interaction. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate that framework. Absolutely. Now,
Can
oh,
we
keep going. Yeah,
could I give an example? Because
please,
I
please.
think yeah, because I'm thinking of you, and I was trying to think of like what would an example of like a strategic give be that the
Yeah.
audience could grab a hold of? Because I think we've covered the theory, but I
Yes.
want to like boil it down to like a
Yeah.
super practical takeaway.
Yeah.
So I thought of you because
Yeah.
everybody knows you because it's your show and you're famous and you're awesome.
You're kind.
So
Thank you.
so everybody imagine if you're Robin, and let's say Robin through a referral gets a Zoom call with the president of a huge line of business within a Fortune 50
Yeah.
company. So Robin's thinking, wow, this is a big one,
Yeah.
because a lot of times you're giving keynote
Yes.
speeches and all the other things that you do, right? Well, what most people do is they would approach that meeting and again, on that idea of we hate to be sold to, but love to
Yeah.
buy. Most people would feel like, well, I need to talk about my speaking, but I'm not sure how. And I should bring it up and maybe they can hire me for their big annual kickoff meeting. It's almost January or whatever, and they're like thinking self, 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 self. If we can go to that meeting and have a different approach, number one, learn their priorities and their words,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to resiliency and all the
Yes.
things that you're expert in. So, coming up with some great questions, we can do some research ahead of time. And then that president of that line of business is opening up. They're starting to share, yeah, I really wish our people do this differently.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that. We're going to go through a huge transformation next year. We need the people to be really resilient. And then let's say, audience, that Robin, somewhere about 10, 15, 20 minutes into a 30-minute call says, you know what, Janine, I've really, I think I see great strategic fit here between
Yeah.
what you mentioned, and you'd say the exact same they
Yeah.
mentioned that you can help with. So it's clear. And say, I would like to invest in this long-term relationship. What you mentioned, I think, and just in passing, that you do a weekly call with your senior leadership team
Mhm.
that's an hour. What if at no charge, I dropped into one of those
Yeah.
and I helped you think through my frameworks around resiliency that they can then take to their teams? I won't charge you for it.
Yeah.
I would just love to invest in our success. It would give you a chance to see me in action. It'd be
100%.
helpful to you. So I bet the audience can start to see, like, wow, how would Janine feel in that moment? She
Yeah.
would feel like she'd feel great.
Yeah.
Robin, you're
It's a win.
investing in her, feel reciprocity. She'd be thinking about, wow, how soon can I do this? Like, I
Yes.
want that to happen in Friday's call, but it's
Yes.
only a couple days.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of wonderful things would start to open up in this decision maker's mind.
Mm.
Then, audience, imagine Robin on that call and just blowing them away with her frameworks. Think about these steps. These are what the roadblocks are.
Yeah.
Now, how darn easy is it for them to hire Robin? Not only just for the one event that Janine, the president, might have been thinking about, but maybe they need consulting. Maybe they've got 4 events that they wanna start to cascade. Now there's 12 people,
Mhm.
however many team people are in the SLT. Now there's 12 people that are advocates of Robin running around the organization saying, "You need to meet Robin. We need to hire her. We need to come in." And it all happened because of a one-hour gift.
Yeah.
And I think that's if we play through that example now for a few years afterwards, well, gosh, you might get hired 15 times by
Mhm.
that organization. But had you only focused on pitching your speaking services
Yeah.
and trying to get hired right away, the chances of, even though it's great, it's a low chance of success without them seeing you in action. It's
Yes.
risky, but that little strategic gift on the front end could unlock hundreds of thousands, millions of
Yeah.
dollars worth of work. So,
Yeah.
is that
Absolutely.
right? Is that fun to go through an example
Yeah.
like that?
I appreciate that, absolutely, and, it's amazing because when we look back and, like, in my own career, when I look back, you can see that through line of the ones that became relationship-based in terms
Mm.
of trust, in terms of that reciprocity, in terms of that showing up for them, helping them solve their critical problem or their critical moment. Like, you're absolutely right, like, those relationships, and then you become a lifeline for them, right? You become a like, oh gosh, we're navigating a new CEO, we're navigating a new board, we're navigating this new thing. Change. Okay, change is scary, but hey, I'm going to reach out because I know Robin helped us with this in the past. And again, because it's a relationship, it's not that, it's not this kind of one and done or a transaction. It's this idea that I look at it as around allyship that like I'm on your
Mm.
team. I am cheering for you. I am
I
rooting
love
for
that.
you. And as I say to folks, in my work, Mo, it's like our paths have now crossed, and like I cheer for people all the time. I love cheering out loud for people. I love people winning. I want to be part of that in any way because I just know that when people have that sense of being hope filled, when people feel better, they do better. They're better leaders, they're better parents, they're better community members, right? It's again, it's just this idea when people feel poured into and well resourced on the other side of it, we create this collective of people that are willing to show up even when it's hard.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I take me to the next place. I love all that. What do you think would be most
Yeah.
interesting to talk about next?
Yeah, so again, what I'm so mindful about is when we think about, let's say I'm imagining a listener and even myself saying, "Okay, Mo, I've given the gift. I'm coming wholehearted. I'm not putting strings attached, but at this season, I'm not seeing that return on my investment just yet."
Mm.
And to me, that's where that resilient piece would start to take shape, where I'm doing all the things. I've read the book. Maybe even have a coach or a mentor. People are helping me with my blind spots. Like, Mo, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but I'm not getting the results that I'm hoping to. If somebody's in that wee place of just like, I don't know what to do because I thought I'm doing it right, what would be your counsel or your encouragement in that moment, in that place when people are feeling like I'm doing everything I can, I'm doing everything right, but I'm not seeing the results?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 quick ideas. Mostly when if people are doing the strategic giving well, so
Yeah.
they're saying yes and they're saying no, so the litmus test the audience should be thinking about is, am I actually saying no to things?
Mm,
If you're not, audience member, that's probably a sign that if you're not letting a few people down, you're not saying no enough. So
yeah.
that's thing one. And then sizing the size of the gift
Yeah.
to if you do say yes. If people are doing those 2 things and they're not getting traction, 3 things could be happening. One is they're not asking for the next step in the meeting they're at. So
Oh,
some
okay.
research out of Cornell found that a face-to-face ask has a 34 times more
Yes.
likely chance of a getting yes than email. So a lot of times people can be asking for a next step, but on email a few
Yeah.
days after they met, you've just lost all your traction. So you
Mm,
need to be thinking about what's the next request
yes.
or recommendation that you can make while you're in person, at lunch, in the
Mm,
meeting, on Zoom, whatever, and you're actually setting that next meeting up. That's how you get momentum. So that's idea 1. Idea 2 of 3 is ask for escalating commitments.
mm,
So if we're going to continue giving, they should continue investing as well.
right.
So there's 3 ways that we can ask for escalating commitments. We can ask for money. If
Yep.
people are paying, then they're taking us seriously. We can ask for time. Maybe they review the proposal before we send it to the rest of the team, something
Yeah.
like that. So they're investing in time. And the third way is investing social capital. They're
Mm,
introducing us to others around the organization.
yes.
So if we're going to keep investing, they need to keep investing. And if they don't, that's a sign that they like hanging out with us, but
Yeah.
um, but it's not. They're not really investing. If people are just showing up because they like talking to us because we have great content,
Mm,
that we can put ourselves in a risky situation.
yeah.
The third idea is just do 3 things a week.
Mm,
Do pick, and there's a lot more in Give to Grow and all these
yes.
things, including a specific process that you've seen. But just thinking through, spending about 15 minutes once a week to think through what are the 3 most important proactive things I can do to deepen a relationship next week, and just do 3 every week. It's about
Mm,
150 a year, proactive, meaty, gonna move the ball down the field kind of stuff that
yeah.
nope, by definition, things others aren't asking you to do. These are the proactive things. It doesn't seem like much, but it just starts to stack
Yeah.
and build momentum. You're always staying in touch with people. You're suggesting a next step. You're offering a new way to be helpful. So
Yeah.
anyway, those 3 things, make the ask in person, make your ass have escalating commitments, and do 3 proactive things a week. I I don't know if I've ever met anybody that if they did those things
Yes.
and the stuff we talked about before,
Yeah.
you're gonna have success.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And again, I love how it was just very much in terms of like those are manageable things to do, right? Those
Yeah.
are manageable things to do. And what you're doing is again, you're setting yourself on this trajectory where again, you're trusting the process. And
Yeah.
also too, my hope is that you're learning along the way. You're learning
Yeah.
along the way that, kind of the tone of those emails or how you can structure the ask and you're getting data. And I recently was talking to a group of high performant realtors, and I said to them, as a behaviorist, we know that the most complicated reinforcement schedule is intermittent reinforcement. Like that is the most complicated. Where and if we go back all the way to the classic studies, like the little rat in the box with the little lever, it's like if he pushes the lever 3 times and gets the pellet, if he pushes it 7 times, if he pushes it 100 times, intermittent reinforcement is the most complex form of human behavior reinforcement. Again, taking it from the experiments to humans.
Yep.
However, I said to them, imagine like as a salesperson in real, like as a realtor, if you were doing, prospecting, looking for new clients, that I told you that after 15 no's, you were going to get a yes. If I told you that you just had to do that 15 asks and you knew for sure you would get a yes eventually, like, and this was the schedule, I asked them, how fast would you want to get through your nose, right? Like, how quickly would you want to be rejected
I
knowing that
love
on that
this.
15 mark, I am
Yeah.
golden because I'm going to have that. And I said, when we're working in spaces where we have intermittent reinforcement, which means we're not going to win every game, we're not going to win every point, we're not going to win every conversation, but we recognize that there will be growth, there will be prosperity, there will be success somewhere. And if we can
Yeah.
almost play like a wee bit of a mental, little mental gymnastics with ourselves to be like, okay, this is why I'm going to be one step closer, which when used not for good, Mo, this is why addictions and gambling is so complicated to
Yeah.
treat
You're
and
right.
address because it's like, it feels like the next one is going to be the big payoff. The next one is going to solve all my problems. So we know this is complex human behavior, but there's ways that we can use these like little frameworks for ourselves. And again, I had that one realtor reach out to me afterward and he said, I got to know this afternoon, Robyne. And I literally was just like, yes, yes, like good. I'm on
I'm
the
one
right
step
track.
farther. Right. Right.
Right. Like
Right.
I'm one step closer. And again, I just appreciate that if we are looking for success and we're setting ourselves up to be, using this framework, using this approach, there's going to be a payoff. There absolutely
Yeah.
will. And it's kind of that idea we're going to earn or we're going to learn and we're going to be in a right place for your personal and professional success.
Yeah. The thing I loved about what you shared, and I actually wrote down in bright red, intermittent reinforcement. I want to write an article on this. It's so good.
Yeah, oh, I'm
um,
glad.
it's so good. And what you taught everybody there is pull the agency back,
Yes.
pull the control back to yourself. It's not random.
Yeah.
And the story I'll tell around that, and it's similar, but I think it's nicely aligned, and you can land the plane on this, is that um, if a lot of people can think business development or relationship development is random, because if you look at any one person, wow, that referral came from Phil, and I haven't caught up
Yes.
with Phil in 10 years. That's so
Yep.
random. That's how I won the business. I'm not in control, is what
Yeah.
they can. But if you show me somebody that makes all those asks, that
Mhm.
does 3 things a week, that does the things we're talking about, let's say one person makes 10 asks a year, another person makes 1,000.
Yeah.
Just like, because that's actually that could be a thing. Those are probably
Totally.
the endpoints. Who are we going to put money on is going to have success? It's the
Exactly.
person who asked for 1,000,
Yeah.
and it's not even close. So in any one situation, it can be a random, but when you scale it up to a year, it's not a random
Mhm.
act at all. It's
Yeah.
the person that makes the most offers of helpfulness is going to win the most business,
Yeah.
almost every time.
Oh,
And I
with
think that's what you did. It's like, hey, make more asks, make
yeah.
more offers of helpfulness. Do
Yeah.
that over and over, and you'll create the future that you want.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that idea that we're, like, co-creating those futures because, again, because we want them to win as well, and again, this isn't
Yeah.
just, arbitrary asks. We're doing asks and offers that are in alignment with what their needs are. So this isn't
Yes.
just like, "Hey, I can do X for you." It's like, "Great, well, I don't need X." Okay, cool. You're actually giving opportunity where this is gonna be something that maybe will bring a wee bit more ease to the person or
Yeah.
answers a
Yeah.
answers a problem that they thought was, a wicked problem. They didn't see a possible solution. And then all of a sudden you show up with a solution. Right. So again, I love this notion that the asks are not just, wishful thinking where we're just kind of throwing everything out there and see what sticks. It's like, okay, if I'm going to have these 3 offers each week, if I'm going to set that goal that I want to do that, I'm going to do just a wee bit of homework, figure out what some of their stress points are, figure out even like what are they posting right now on social? What are they posting
Yeah.
on LinkedIn? If they're posting things like, and I just had this conversation with a colleague this morning where she said, yesterday I made reference in an event, Mo, that we have 75 days left of 2025. And one person said, we got to buckle down and get things done and hit those goals. And the other person said, I want to be gentler with myself. I want to be gentler with myself. I want to end the year in a place of calm and a place of sufficiency and knowing that I was
Yeah.
enough. I did enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I offer as true gifts to those 2 different people, it's gonna look very, very different. What I'm gonna offer the person who's looking for a sense of groundedness, steady, calm, smooth, tender transition out of the year, that gift is going to be probably like the polar opposite of the person who needs like that Navy SEAL in their corner being like, "We are going to take this down this year." My giving is gonna look different. So if I take a few minutes to do a little bit of homework to get a sense of where people are at and the gift and the giving is in alignment, I feel like we're just stacking the odds in our favor of a yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Would it be helpful to just share a couple phrases that
Love it.
people can use
Yes.
right away?
Please, please,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like land like these super practical things people can take away. So if somebody is in that boat where they're trying to finish the year strong, or at any point they're trying to ramp up, they're like, wow, I
Yeah.
really like what Robin's saying here. I need to make more ask. There's a lot of ways to do it. Here are three great ones.
Oh, I love
And
this.
let me actually just say the ways not to do it. We rarely want to say, do you want me to?
Yeah.
That do something. That like that to the other person, that feels like they're putting us out. Um, so instead of or I actually avoid even "I'd be happy to" do
Mhm.
something,
Mhm.
to make an offer, because that can, like, diminish the scarcity of it.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's no value. So I usually avoid those phrases. The 3 I really like are, "Would it be helpful if?" You've already heard me say that a couple times.
Yep.
I use that the most. I just think, "Would it be helpful if?" signifies value because
Yes.
you're saying, "Yes, it would be helpful."
Mhm.
So I think that's a good one. 2 other ones I really liked are, "What most of my clients do next is blank."
Mhm. Mhm.
I like that one. It builds on the science of social proof. It sort
That's
of
right.
said, it's like middle school. Everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
you only say if it's true, but if the next step is what most of your clients do, everybody, like, that's it's
Mhm.
a really nice way of suggesting a next step,
Yeah.
and it just says it's safe.
Yeah.
Um, the last one I really liked, I don't use this as much, but boy, in certain
Mhm.
scenarios, it can be great. Like if there's a lot of confusion about what to do, or if there's sort of a command and control kind of environment that
Mhm.
you're talking to, or culture, that organization. And that one's more of an authority driven one. And it's what I'd recommend we do next is blank.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that one just slices through
Yeah.
clutter. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, you're the expert. You're telling me
Yeah.
what to do. I better pay attention.
Yeah.
So all those 3, would it be helpful if,
Yeah.
what most of my clients do next is, or what I'd recommend based on conversation today, what I
Yeah.
would recommend we do next is, those can be just great ways to suggest the next step that have a high chance of a yes. You always
Yes.
want to do it in person.
That's
That's
right.
when you have that 34x superpower. And just those are examples of how you can create this momentum we've been talking about.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely love that. And just one quick anecdote. I remember a very dear colleague, Phil M. Jones, like the one and the only Phil M. Jones, such a cool dude. I remember him sharing with me. We were chatting one day and we were talking about, when I'm doing these pre-event calls with clients. And he said, that he goes, the pre-event calls where I sell all my books. And I'm like, dude, I don't think I've ever sold books per se in a pre-event call. Like, what do you mean? And he said, after it's all done, and they usually say, do you have any questions? Phil does exactly step number 2, where he says, at this point, this is where a lot of the clients that I work with like to talk about books. And if you are looking for giveaways, if you are looking for, instead of the water bottle or the mug, if you're looking to have any type of swag at your event, I can
To
make sure
extend the learnings after the event,
exactly
because
extend
gosh,
yeah,
I'm gonna be able to actually talk with the folks effectively for 4, 5, 6 hours because 'cause they're gonna
yeah,
read the book, and this is all
yeah.
done in magic time, so you're gonna get more of the behavior change you want.
All yeah,
Yeah,
all of it, and I
yeah,
remember I was like I actually wrote it on a Post-it note to be just like, "Challenge yourself, Robin." When they say, "Do
yeah.
you have any questions?" Say, "At this point," many of the clients of other speakers, right? Because I was borrowing Phil because I hadn't done it personally, but at this point in conversations, a lot of other speakers could let you know about these that this is an option. We can take care of the bulk orders. We can make it so simple for you,
I love it.
and and I remember the very first time I put that in practice, Mo, like it was like they were like, "Yeah, we take 500." And it was like the yes was immediate. I solved their
Yeah,
problem of having to figure out what are we going to give our attendees. And I remember texting Phil and just being like, "Dude, like you would never believe just
it
what happened."
works.
Yeah, and of course it's Phil, so he said, "That sounds great. Would you like to put that in a testimonial?" Right? So I like, when you were and so it was just this beautiful exchange, Mo, of just level up, level up. Both persons benefited. And again, I just could not believe how much I was leaving on the table
Yeah.
because I hadn't learned that ask yet. And just
Yeah.
how it radically changed bulk sales for me. And again, I just love that with the very clear examples you've shared today on this episode, like people I think will be able to absolutely see how they
Yeah.
can make those asks, how they can, find that balance point of being a giver, being generous, being able to show up to help be a problem solver and a fixer for folks. And also knowing that it's okay to have boundaries, because that's what's going to keep us in that place of 10x and excellence, and everybody wins, which feels awfully refreshing. So, Mo, thank you, thank you, thank you for the gift of your time and your expertise. I know in my heart of hearts that this is going to be useful for people. So, thank you for achieving that for us. And so thank you for taking time with us today.
Oh, it was fun. Well, it was a thrill to write the book, Give to Grow. There's a whole free training course at givetogrow.info if people want to go that. Go there. It's no charge, and it actually stands alone from the book. So even if they didn't have $20 for the book or whatever it is on Amazon, they can go to givetogrow.info and get a full training course. Robyne, you just die. Like when you write a book called Give to Grow, the pressure to give things away is so high. So there's like downloads in that thing. There's
Yep.
videos for me. There's all kinds of stuff, and that's all at givetogrow.info. So all free, and
Love
people
it.
can grab a hold of that if they want.
Mo, that's amazing. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes, big and loud, so folks are able to take advantage of that piece and just see how this could set them up for success. And also, again, as always, when you come across resources like Mo that are useful, that are practical, the kindest thing that we can also do is pay it forward.
Mm.
Share it with other people who are also looking for these resources and keep the conversation going. And I love that notion, again, that idea of talking about people in rooms that they are not in, setting other people up for success. Again, it's a win-win for everyone. So again, Mo, thank you. We'll make sure to include that for our listeners in the show notes, and keep shining bright, my friend. You're doing the good work. So thank you so much.
Oh, this has been fun. Thanks, Robyne.
Thank you for spending time with me on this episode of Life by Design. I appreciate if you have a moment to pay this forward, share it with someone who you think might benefit from the ideas shared in this episode. If you're feeling so inspired, please also rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.